Great, so now we're going to compare fractions by finding the same numerator. So here's an example. Compare the fractions 5/6 and 6/8 with the last n greater than or equal to sign. So in class also we've learned 3 ways to compare. The first way is to compare fractions by using the benchmark of 1/2. The second way is finding the same denominator. And the third one is finding the same numerator or the top number. So we're going to focus on finding the same numerator today. So we have 2 fractions, 5/6 and 6/8. Now depending on the situation, it may be easier to solve by using the benchmark of 1/2. Some instances it may be better to find the same denominator. And as the scholars have seen in class, sometimes it's easier to find the same numerator. So they're going to have to figure out which method should I use and which one would be better in this situation. So our numerators here are 5 and 6. We want to find a number that's a multiple of both 5 and 6. What number is common for these 2 numbers? So I know that if I multiply both 5 and 6 by each other, I'll find a number that's a multiple of 5 and 6. So 5 times 6 gives me 30. Great. Now in order to make these fractions equivalent, I need to multiply my numerator and the denominator by the exact same number. So I know that 5 times something gives me 30. 5 times 6 gives me 30. Therefore, I'm going to multiply my denominator by 6 also to find an equivalent or equal fraction. 6 times 6 is 36. So I know that 5/6 is equivalent to 30 over 36. Now let's check the second fraction. 6 times 5 gives me 30. And in order to find an equivalent fraction, I'm going to multiply my denominator by 5 also. And 8 times 5 is 40. Great. Now we can see we have 2 fractions that have the exact same numerator. (30 and 30). So now let's compare these 2 fractions. 30 over 36 versus 30 over 40. Even though both numbers have 30 parts that we're looking at, my denominator is going to come in helpful. So I know that imagine us having a cake. And imagine that cake that's being split into 36 pieces or 40 pieces. I know that if we had, let's say, 30 pieces within that cake, if I were to split that piece of cake among 36 people, each person will have a little bigger piece of cake than if I were to split that cake with 40 people. So therefore, I know that 30 over 36 is actually greater than 30 over 40. So since 30 over 36 is equivalent to 5/6, I know that 5/6 is greater than 6/8. So I'm going to make sure that I do my inequality where the mouth is going to open because the mouth opens to the bigger number. So 5/6 is greater than 6/8. I'm going to say this in another way also. So imagine, for example, let's take a look at 1/2 and 1/3. So even though both have the same numerator of 1 here and 1 here, they have the same numerator. Great, that's what we're focusing on. But now look at the denominator. This 1 whole fraction is being split amongst 2 people. Here it's being split amongst 3 people. When it's split amongst 2 people, we can see that each piece is a little bit bigger. But when the same, let's say the same pie is split amongst 3 people, each piece is a little bit smaller. So therefore, even though we have the same numerator, how we saw before it was 1, here it's 30. Each piece, we're splitting this amongst 36 people here, and here we're splitting it amongst 40 people. So each piece is actually bigger with 36 people versus 40 people. So therefore, 30 over 36, or 5/6, is greater than 6/8, and we did this by finding the same numerator.